everyone, and welcome to the 4th episode now of CRC Speedshow TV. I'm Craig Lord, aka Sooty, and he's Dave Nicholas, aka No One Cares. And as always, we're going to start the show off with some news and one of my ranting opinions. But let's kick it off with the WRC, where 3 rounds have been held to date: Monte Carlo, Sweden and Mexico. And if you're struggling to stay in tune with how Padden is going, remember he's only doing selected rallies this season and he was 5th in Sweden. Ogier has won twice, Newville winning once, and really that's all you need to know.
And we've been keeping an eye on Mitch Evans too. Very much so. He's racing Formula E for Jaguar. Last weekend he drove from 16th to 4th at Punta del Este. Is that how you say it? His team made a bit of a boo-boo with their weight distribution during the qualifying, which is why he had to start so far back. He sits 6th in the standings at the moment, and after recently spending a few billion to take Opel off GM, the French automobile giant PSA that makes Peugeot, Citroën and Vauxhall are pretty damn pleased that for the first time in 20 years they've been able to stem the losses a little bit of Opel. It only lost 300 mil New Zealand in the last 5 months of 2017. That's 100 million less than what Opel lost in the first 6 months of 2017. Must be all the Holdens that are...
Yeah, it's probably all those Holdens being sold in Australia.
Yeah.
They love Opels over there. They really do, yeah. Hey, it's time for my rant.
Are we ready for this?
That was my drum roll.
Are we ready? It's a bit early in the show, isn't it?
Carmen Jorda. Carmen Jorda is the token representative for women in motorsport for the FIA.
Beautiful woman.
She is a lovely looking lady who couldn't drive herself out of a wet paper bag. Look, she's probably a better driver than I am, but she's still not at the level that she should be or touts herself to be. Now, she recently had the audacity to declare that Formula 1 and Formula 2 are too hard for women and they should aim for easier drives like Formula E. Apparently, that's too physically demanding. Well, she copped a fair hammering on social media over it, and rightly so. She then had to produce a statement telling us how she was talking about forms of motorsport she has tried and was comparing them. No, I strongly suspect that this came from above. The FIA flicked a switch and went into damage control mode. Seriously though, if she could use the gas pedal as well as she can back pedal, she'll probably be a world champion one day. Carmen, I wish to declare that you are a disgrace to the badge. It is not for you to tell women what they can and can't do. They are quite able to make up their own minds and decisions. They don't need you telling them. I don't even know why she is representing the FIA Women in Motorsport at this stage. The token level is way high with what's going on there. It is absolutely crazy.
You did a video of the test in Mexico.
Yes.
If I may interject.
Yes.
Were you finished?
Yes.
Where is it? Have Formula E binned it, like strategically or something? Because
gone,
you can't find it anywhere.
It's
I wanted
gone.
to see it for a variety of research purposes.
Yeah, I suspect they're trying to disassociate themselves until the feathers lay down again. Yeah, it's not good, is it?
And riding on board with Carmen Jorda, then down into Paul Frere corner. Too fast, too wet, and just understeers neatly off and manages just about to avoid the barrier. So Jorda out of the session, and we'll start from what has become a quite usual last on the grid.
Oh, there she goes.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
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 All looks.
How could you say bad things about her? Look how wholesome and pure she looks.
No talent. She won't be inviting me to her Christmas party now.
Probably not me either, because I'm of association. Anyway, you went out and about and caught up with, well, he's a bit of a motorsport character in this country.
Yes, he is.
Impressive CV.
Yes, he does.
Boy, including Bathurst.
Yes, he has.
Apparently. Any ideas?
He's
No?
probably got a t-shirt saying I was there.
Lives in Riverhead these days.
Where all good artists go to retire.
Talking about Foggy, of course. None other than Angus Fogg. So what'd you talk about?
We spoke about a lot of things. He's quite the character, but he's very knowledgeable when it comes to cars and motorsport. Have a look. Did you know that the horsepower formula came from a Scottish engineer, James Watt, in the late 18th century? You see, he designed steam engines, and to try and sell them, he needed to tell people how grunty they were. So he decided to use a formula with horses. That's not a horse, but that one over there is. Anyway, it's a very, very complex math equation to work out the grunt of one of them to that of a car. I'm not going to try and explain it because I'm not that intelligent. Look, just Google it, trust me. Now this is a shed, and inside this shed is where someone decided to try and shove a whole lot of those horses into one horse. Now people around the world have done that before with a lot of success. This guy has done it with success also. You see, he decided it would be a show car, then it became a race car, and it became an immediate head turner. Okay, Angus. This is your Mustang, and yes, you have shoved a whole lot of ponies under the bonnet, but before we get into that, let's step back a little bit, because every single car build starts somewhere. This one, where did it start?
Well, it sort of started as a job that that the customer decided a little way into it that he didn't want to proceed. Hemi from Mount Shop, he owned this car as a beautiful Survivor from the US, just a sort of a weather-beaten red basic Mustang, lovely car to start with. So that's where it started. Hemi was going to build it, and his green Falcon, we were going to kind of transplant the engine and box and stuff into this and have him a pretty cool muscle car.
Was it just going to be a road car at that stage?
No, it's going to be a muscle car. Yeah.
So
he'd owned it as a road car,
right?
And driven it, and I drove it down the road and drove it in here. It was a lovely old car. So yeah, that's how it kind of started. I've always wanted to, or have done a bit of muscle car racing over the years. The club changed the rules that you had to own your own car, you or your dad. So my dad's a poor pensioner in Cambridge, so I had to stump up and own it myself. We sold the Super Tourer, so I had a bunch of cash, and I thought, this is my chance. This is where we want to go.
So you made him an offer, he accepted it,
yep.
And it stayed in the shed here. And you thought, what? Where do we start? Is that how it went down? Pretty
much, yeah. We had a bit of a plan where we were going to head with it. That obviously changed when we didn't have Hemi's car as the old green Walker as a donor. So we went down, another track. We bought a complete NASCAR in and a Ford Fusion and started robbing that. And it just kind of ticked along. Obviously got lots of other things to be doing as well and trying to make a dollar. And so it just ticked along in the background for probably a year, collecting parts and making plans and paying bills.
I want to step back one there. You said you imported a Fusion NASCAR. So was this a genuine NASCAR that was driven by one of the big names around, or was it one of their secondary cars or a shadow car? How does that work?
I'm not 100% sure. It was a race car. It was a road course car, and it was driven by, and the guy
one of those guys.
Escapes me. Not one of the big name guys. It's sort of more of a privateer guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was sort of sold in bits to a guy, and he used it as a sort of a ride day car.
Okay.
Promotions and what have you. So it hadn't really done a lot of work, but it had the right engine, gearbox, diff, brakes, all the dry sump, all the plumbing. So that was a good way of getting a whole bunch of parts for a reasonable amount of money.
So it came in like in a container all scrapped out, or did it come as a complete car?
No, as a runner, yeah. And I kicked in the guts and did 10 laps of Pukekohe in it before I pulled it to bits. Poor old Humi, I said to him, these NASCARs are pretty noisy, man. He's like, oh, you'll be right for a few laps. And it came into 111 on the decibel meter with the boom tube they have out the side. So he's like, that's enough of that. So then I just wanted to make sure that the engine went and everything was, a systems check, if you like, before we dismantled it.
So you had a donor car now. So you've got a NASCAR as a donor car trying to match parts up to a 1970 Mustang. Surely that's not just unbolt here and bolt there.
Unfortunately, no. In fact, given the option again, I don't know that I'd import a complete car, because you end up with a lot of stuff. If you could sell the stuff for reasonable money, it would be make it worthwhile. But you're kind of left up with a rolling hulk that's not good for much at all. It's in storage and it's for sale, but I don't know. Yeah, it'd be nice to do something with it one day,
Or maybe it could be a GTR.
Cool paddock car,
Waiuku dirt tracking.
Chicken house.
Yeah.
I think it would look quite good up in the ceiling, up on the mezzanine there as a show car.
That's not a bad idea.
All the bits at it.
Or you can put it out the back and make it a toy for the donkey.
Correct.
Donkey could have its own car.
As a butting.
Yeah, he needs a car.
Yeah.
Okay, so this Fusion is scrapped out, and half of it's sitting in storage, and some bits and pieces you've thrown into here.
Yep.
How much of it is in here?
Well, the engine, the radiator, the gearbox, basically the complete driveline, the drive shaft. We didn't use the diff, we didn't use the front suspension, because it was, if I built a Timaru, it would have been more suited to that, but the Mustang, it didn't really suit because all those NASCARs, the front end is based on a Gen 2 Timaru. So we left that kind of alone, used the brakes, Yeah, some of the wiring, all the dry sump tank and fittings and lines. Didn't use the fuel tank, but could have. So there's a bunch of stuff you could have.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah, there's a bunch of wheels and tyres, but they're 15-inch wheels, so they're no use. So, yeah, it's just a matter of having all the stuff there, seeing what'll fit, and not much of it really does.
That was going to be my next question. How much just went in, and how much needed to be shoehorned?
Yeah, a lot of it shoehorned.
Okay.
A lot of it shoehorned.
Okay,
so the Mustang's pretty narrow in the engine bay and whatever, but, and they're a big engine. So
yeah, it is a big. There's a lot of horses under there. So you've got out with the tools. You've ripped apart a 1970 Mustang, thrown in a whole lot of NASCAR gear. But that's almost a blank canvas, isn't it? How did you even know what would work or what wouldn't?
No, 35 years of trying, I suppose. You learn as you go, and as I said, I've built quite a few of these cars for other guys, and they've gone well. And you kind of learn as you go, and look at what other people have done, and do a lot of reading and googling and all that stuff.
So Google was your friend at times?
Oh yeah, it's always your friend Google.
Yeah.
But it was just basically make it up as we went along. To be honest, there was no grand plan or computer-aided design or anything. We just kind of, got this and made that fit and changed that to work. So
the thing is, so many people make a race car to be a race car. It's almost as though you made this a show car that you've decided to go race. Was that in your mindset, or is it just how it ended up?
Well, it's a reflection of what we can do here, and what I can do, and why build a shitbox? It's all the cars we do are show quality, or as nice as we can make them, or as the customer can afford. I'm very lucky to have obviously Moselle on board. They did the hot rod thing with the paint job, and it's grouse. It is a show car, and it's just, I don't know, the look of the car and the stance. It's kind of nice, and a little bit of detail, and it's not rocket science to make a car nice. People go, wow, that's a cool car. There's been a bit of thought and a bit of time and effort and blood, sweat and tears.
Well, it was your first full season with it in the last season of Central Muscle Cars. You didn't do the full, but you were there. It came out of the truck, rolled out, and it was a head turner, which is what you wanted.
Yes.
Straight away. Yes. It was a head turner. There's nothing cooler than people admiring what you've built. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
It's a real pat on the back.
But then you went out on the track, really untested.
Yes, completely untested, really.
But you were fairly happy.
Yeah, the thing was good straight out of the truck. Once again, that's experience, I guess. I've done a lot of that stuff, and I've done V8 supercar stuff. There's a bunch of stuff that, believe it or not, quite a lot of mini knowledge. How
does that work?
You ask Brian Hartley, Brendan's dad,
yes,
where he learned most of his stuff. Minis. They teach you all sorts of things. The basic things that you can apply to other vehicles. So yeah, it was good to have a grouse car that looked neat, and by hook or by crook, it went well as well. And it was okay, and we had a couple of engine issues and what have you, not really because of the engine's fault, but because of how we were starting it up and not warming the oil, and they're quite temperamental. But once we got it sorted and sort of changed a few springs and bars and made a bit of changes to the wheel alignment and whatever, and it's a jet, and we went to Timaru and absolutely kicked butt. There was nobody could touch it. I think a lot of that was that I've done a lot of miles around Timaru, and a lot of the central guys haven't been there.
Yeah, but still, you've got to have a car that can do it.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you might know a track inside out and be quite successful there.
Yeah.
But if you're in a car that doesn't turn or doesn't brake,
true. But there's 10 cars in that club that are just as fast as this thing. They just need dialing in or whatever.
So let's talk about under the bonnet and then how you handled it, because there is a lot of GG under there. Yeah. Have you dynoed this?
No, we haven't. We ran.
Is that because you're too scared, or?
No. Bruce Anderson runs an identical engine from Roush Yates, and his is he's got two actually, but they're sort of 790. This model of NASCAR engine, and he's got another one that's about 840, and so they have got a lot of horsepower, a lot of big number, not a lot of torque, and quite difficult to drive because they're designed to run from $8,000 to $9,500. If you watch a NASCAR race, that's what they do.
Yes.
They have different manifolds, they have different all sorts of stuff for road course applications. In fact, every different track's got a different engine that they run in, different car almost in NASCAR. That's how specialist it is. So while it's not the ideal, if I had a lot of money to blow on an engine, there's people, 60, 70, 80 grand on an engine. You can buy one of these for 20. And it's a lot of it's enough engine, you know, because you've only got that Hankook tyre that's that wide. You can only put so much to the track. So.
Were you able to get the power to the ground?
Yeah, pretty much.
You think you've got all of it to the ground?
You've got to be very eggshell on the throttle. Very, you know, you've got to be as if there's an egg there and you don't want to crush it. The temptation for me is, of course, to mash it. We've always been a bit of a masher, but you know, had to reel in my natural enthusiasm, shall we call it, a bit at times, and because you know the rest of the guys are there to race and win and have fun, and you know, although some of them say they're not, but they are.
Yeah.
But you know, we've had a ball. It's been a real.
When you say you got to be 10 to drive, I suppose what you're saying is you don't want to come out of a corner, put your foot up it, and end up facing the wrong way, because it will.
First gear, second gear, bit of third gear, mental.
Right.
They're mental. Yeah.
Is there any way you can modify that without spending the big dollars to maybe suit the New Zealand tracks where you don't have to be up there, or is it a pointless thing?
Well, no, you keep tattooing, you know,
Okay.
springs and bars and sort of basic things. You can't, you know, re-engineer the whole car really. We like to think we've got it half right to start with. Shock absorbers, there's all sorts of things but really it's just being very tentative with the throttle, and especially in the lower gears.
Yet it was quite a successful season. So we know you've built this thing and you hadn't tested it. You go out there, you start blitzing track records, you start going straight up the front of the field. It's quite exciting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't want to sound like a dick, but people, I think, probably expected that.
Yep.
You know, some people said it's like taking candy from a kid and stuff, but it's not. There's some guys here with good budgets, good cars, good steerers. They just got to put it all together, you know, make it, you know. And you know, John Minchley's a shining example of that. He didn't do the whole season, but if he had, he would have picked up. And I haven't really, since I've had the car going really well, I haven't raced against John. So, and there's 4 or 5, 6 other new cars coming in. The levels here, the level's going to go here, and it keeps going. You know, and I think that's good as long as we retain the club's ethos of number one rule, having fun.
And then when they start chumping at you, you're going to have to think about some of those changes to this car, aren't you? What can I do?
Yeah, well, you know, speed costs money. How fast do you want to go? That's how it works.
Okay.
Or in my case, how many hours do you want to do? And some money as well. But it'll take a good car to beat this thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And in the rules, you do have to keep it in your rules of the club you have joined now, which is the Central Muscle Cars. You do have to keep a constraint on things. You can't go put high-tech fuel injection, high-tech computers, upgraded 3 links and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Well, you can do a 3-link.
But that's all?
You shouldn't be able to, but you can.
Right.
Yeah, there's some rules I don't agree with. I don't agree with the 5-speed gearbox rule. I don't agree with 3-link. But you know, it is what it is, and everybody's running with it. This is still 4-speed. We did 3-link it in the end because it was just easier.
Okay.
We might actually reverse engineer that just to prove that you can make a proper leaf spring car work. You know, just
here's a challenge.
Stupid things I dream up. So yeah, you know, you can't do a lot. It is the rules. It is a genuine Mustang body shell. It's not a tube frame fiberglass body thing. The engine rule's very free, so that's where you can go mad. You know, they've got a certain size brake, certain size tyre, wheel, full barrel carburetor, minimum weight. So there's a sort of 10 overriding rules which pretty much control it, which is neat. And people start to, you know, grizzle about 1 millimetre here, or somebody's done this, or it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The cars are what they are, and crowd loves them. They've smoke and flames and noise and you know, good numbers and variety. Yeah, it's a magic combination, and very privileged to be involved with it.
It's a heck of a car. It looks good, it sounds good, it clearly drives fast. Can I have a 10? Possibly. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. We just have to put some pillows in it for your little wee sawn off legs, and you know. We'll end that here. Yeah. Thanks, Angus.
You're welcome.
CRC Speed Show, proper. The show comes to us in July, as it always does, at the ASB Showgrounds. If you want to be there, you can buy tickets online, or you can get them at the gate, but you're better to do it online, because one of the things you will see while you are there is the Team Tools Grand National Rod and Custom Show. For those of you who want to enter that show, you still can. The entries are open, and you know all the categories. There are so many categories in the show. It is the best indoor rod show in the Southern Hemisphere, if not the world. and we'll be there, and we want to make sure your machines are there as well. Also, your viewer vids, we want those. Here are the contact details to send us your viewer vid, or at least get in touch with us and say, how do we get it to you? Because it's a big file. There are many ways to do it. Just send us an email. There are the details on the screen to make sure you get it to us. If you are going to make a viewer vid, we'd love to see it. It could be your build, it could be your drive, it could be something you've raced, it could be an event you've gone to. We just want to see it, and please just make sure that you remove as much shake as you can from your phone, because that's what most people use, and have good audio. Just make it clear so we can all hear it. That's all we need.
Yeah, we're not too picky about the videos and stuff like that.
No, I mean, look at us. Clearly, we are not picky people to what's seen on a screen.
Neither are the people who create the show. D1NZ is doing their thing around the country at the moment. Yeah, they're all over the place. I think Manfield's coming up next month, actually.
That's a good circuit for that.
It's a great circuit. Another great circuit is Levels in Timaru. They were there just a couple of weeks ago, and Team Jenkins Motorsport put this together for us. Bless them.
How good of a wheelie should we wheelie? And that was a good wheelie.
So we just got the track first thing Friday morning. Cars will be on the transporter for a day or so, so we're just going through doing some basic checks, check oil levels, check waters, make sure there's plenty in the water sprays, even though it's a bit cold today. Had a minor water leak on Ben's car, we've just sorted out. Give the cars a run up on the stands before they head out to make sure the diffs, gearbox and everything are all warm and ready to go.
Insane track. It's a lot smaller than what we thought. Thought it might have been entry, weight shift entry into a real actual technical double apex corner. So I've only done 4 laps of it, but it was good. So 3 laps to absolutely torched. Pretty good. Bring it to full hard, and then we'll bring it, say, like 5 clicks back to soft. We'll try that.
We ran Troy with a slightly stiffer setup, and he seemed to be doing better. I think Ben's car really needs to be stiffened up a bit more so he can float it through that section. There's a bit too much grip in it right now. Sort of catered it more for the wetter, but it's dried out the track a bit some. So yeah, I think we'll stiffen that up a bit and see how it goes the next round.
We're about to go out for qualifying very soon. We're going to put down a couple of laps, so hoping for the best. Massive trip down here. Can't thank everyone that's given us a hand. Conditions are really testing. It's just started to rain again before, so hopefully when qualifying comes later, it's going to be nice and dry. Ended up towards the back of the field again, which shit, haven't really been having luck with qualifying this season so far. But anyway, my first battle up with Cole Armstrong. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be real tough. So we'll just stick it to his door and see how we go.
We ended up in 14th position, which is pretty cool. First battle, Johnny Latham in the loud BMW, the E46, with the winner going to versus Darren Kelly. So I really want to get in there and versus Darren Kelly in the top 24. So we'll see how we go today.
Massive changes to the track, of course. Bit of a hiccup there with the tarmac being ripped up, so we ended up having to change it around, change that track and the layout and the clipping points, but otherwise we sort of adapted really well, I feel. Day 2, and we've just finished up at Timaru Internationals Raceway. A massive day, and hey, we can't forget that we've got to thank the guys who get us there. This was a massive event for us, a long amount of travel, putting the cars down on the transporter, also in the container with all the gear, all the boys that came down and gave us a hand. Really, really appreciate it. So got to thank those sponsors. Brian Roberts Towing, of course, they have just been with us every step of the way. Got to welcome and thank Toyotas Galore as well. We're going to be seeing the GT86, number 1 GT86 at the next round at Manfield, so exciting times ahead. That was the last time for the S15. Got to thank Elwood Parts, Big Brown Industries, Mark Curran at Pixelsaurus there, Stance Suspension, the Blink Company from Hamilton with running the Zestinos, which have been a really good change for us this year, running the semi-slicks of course, and hey, got to thank Motorsport Communications as well. Shane, you've followed us the whole way down here, every event so far, and he's one of the team. He's one of the team. So good. Massive thanks to all those guys. Formance Automotive as well. They've been backing us the last 2 seasons, shall we say. But awesome to have Maddie with us, of course, and I've got to say thank you to Formance for coming on board with us.
We couldn't do this without our boys and without our wicked crew. So.
Was that I heard Rose left the battery on, was it?
No, we're not here to point the finger. Somebody did it.
It was that one right there. We're forever thankful for that, but we can't wait to get there to Manfield, to round 4, to debut Troy's car.
Yep.
Gives us shivers down our spine saying this.
Dead right. Round 4, Manfield, only a couple of weeks from now. We'll be down there bringing GT86. Ben will be in his S30, of course. We're not far away with the other GT86, but it's going to be awesome, so make sure you come and check it out.
Now, last episode, I introduced the 5 weirdest forms of motorsport, of which I'm going to get this buffhead to pick one, and we're going to try and make it happen. Last episode was skid plate racing. Did you like that?
I actually did. It was
Really?
all about finding a venue, remember? We just needed to find somewhere to do it.
Well, this week I have
your driveway or something.
another challenge for you. No, not in the driveway. Another challenge for you, sir, and you get an option this time. You get to pick if you want to be ballast or if you want to be partially in control. Really? You ready?
I like control.
Have a look, number 4. And next episode, I'll bring you number 3 of the World's Strangest Motorsports, and he can make another decision.
Yeah, no, options are good at this stage. But no, seriously though. Oh, where is it? There we go. I want to be that guy, the ballast guy, the guy on the side, the guy hanging on.
You can be either of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, but not big on control in that particular one. Seriously though, Matamata over the weekend, it was the Kararama. Apparently
like
the whole rugby field there was just absolutely covered. I think it could be a good precursor to beach hop, with a little bit of the content going on
This
there.
weekend.
Yes. Anyway, we'll leave you with this wonderful footage from the weekend. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for turning up. See you next time. Ciao.